Hello and welcome to the Empower Couples podcast, where here you get modern, non-boring relationship advice for you and your partner to communicate like pros, fight smarter, and stay on the same team no matter the challenge that you face. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron Freeman.
And I'm Jocelyn Freeman, but you all just know us as the Freemans.
And this is the Motivation Thursday episode, which are typically shorter, sometimes on our own, but we want to bring you this motivation here together for 3 daily habits for couples to experience more happiness.
And habits can be one of those words you tune out, but truly, your life is more fulfilling and rewarding if you have positive, empowering habits.
Why would we tune out happiness?
No, not even habit. The word habits. Like, people can just kind of be like, oh, great habit. No, but really, if you and your partner want to be happy, joyful, fulfilled people, you've got to look at what are your daily patterns? What are your daily habits? And are they leading to the mood you want and also the results that you want?
Yeah. So, of course, today we're going to be talking about happy life, happy wife. No, this is not what we're talking about. This is actually one of those myths in the Argument Hangover that we bust because for a number of reasons, right, Jocelyn? You cannot suppress yourself. And that's kind of where that myth comes from, right? You cannot suppress yourself or hold back, not be who you're meant to be, share your experiences, gain communication skills so that your partner can become more understanding, you're more ignorant. All of those things lead to this kind of suppression of your being, and that never leads to a happy relationship. And ultimately doesn't even lead to your partner being happy, because if you're walking around all suppressed, you haven't said what you really want, you're not sharing your needs, they're going to feel that. You're going to start to be passive in the relationship. So rather than that old myth, it really is about becoming a happy person first for yourself. That will lead to a happy life, a happy marriage, and a happy partner, because you're just being a happy being yourself.
Yeah, one of my favorite questions I ask when I'm talking with a couple or even an individual is I say, what do you do on a daily basis to make yourself happy? And a lot of times I just get this blank face of, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm happy throughout the day. I wake up and then I check my phone and then I go to work, or I'm taking care of the kids.
I fell asleep on that.
Exactly. And so
I fell asleep when you were talking.
That's the thing, right? Like, what are you doing on a daily basis to make yourself happy, to make yourself energized, joyful, and therefore, like you said, Aaron, you show up differently in the relationship, and that leads to the results that you want in the relationship, and your partner is going to be more attracted to you, drawn to you when you are showing up happy and joyful.
Yeah, especially as a partner, if I'm going through a challenge or I bring something up and you're not swept away by my own, you could say, discontentment, dissatisfaction, sadness, upset, and you just maintain a state of joy, it's like, wow, this doesn't feel like that much of a challenge. So a part of this as we go in, there's a fine line here as well between the pursuit of happiness, which is obviously a movie by Will Smith, but you do not want to be in pursuit of happiness from outside things also. You don't want your happiness to be based on the circumstances or even your goals being achieved or not, because then that puts your happiness based on something else and kind of on a teeter-totter of whether that happens or not. What you want to do is put in habits like we're going to go into, such that you choose and you act in ways that just have you be happy first, no matter what's happening or is going to happen in your day or your week or your month. It doesn't matter. You have set the things in place to be a happy person.
Well said. All right, let's get into the first habit, which is some sort of meditation or quiet time. Now, people can hear meditation and go, oh, I'm not good at it. I tried it once. My mind wouldn't stop thinking, right? And there are so many different types of meditation. The purpose is whether you choose to embark upon that. You and I started that, probably going on over 6 years ago now, and it's changed the type of meditations that we try. But the key thing would be that regardless of whether you choose to go down that path of meditation, you must have some quiet time. Some alone time, whether that's 5 minutes, because we know some of you have complex lives and you can't really squeeze in an hour every morning. So maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes, or maybe it is putting your kids to bed, or, having someone come over to help for a little while, or taking turns with your partner in the morning. Whatever it is that you need to do, get creative so that you are getting, whether it's 5 minutes or an hour, some time to get quiet, turn inward, reflect, check in on how you're doing. Really reflect on your thoughts, reflect on your feelings. And also that could be a time where, we listen to different audios or, podcasts, YouTube videos. We love Sadhguru. He's an amazing, oh my gosh, his wisdom is amazing. Anything you want to add to this, Aaron, about?
Oh, since you brought him up, he would say in his videos, the whole point of this is to create a space between your thoughts and yourself. We don't have time to go into this deeper. And we wouldn't say necessarily we're masters of this principle, but that is kind of the point, because we identify so much with our thought and emotion, which is affected so much about the circumstances that are happening in our life and relationship, that if you can create a gap between identifying who you are as being your thought and emotion and having that be something slightly separate, then you can start to influence or not be influenced in this sense by just sort of random thoughts and emotions that might come up. The analogy he gives, imagine you were sitting in traffic, right? It's like bumper to bumper. All of a sudden you're like so frustrated. I didn't want to be here. Now I'm going to be late. But if you can imagine that you got into a hot air balloon and you went up into the sky and then you looked down on the same traffic jam, how would you feel about it?
Neutral.
Fine. Oh, yeah. It'd be like, oh, look, all those small little things down there. There's a big line of them. Oh, look at that tree over there. Is that a tree? I can't tell. So nothing changed in the circumstance. Traffic jam is still happening, but you created a distance between yourself and the circumstance. And that's really the underlying principle of this.
Absolutely. So again, quiet time. You must have some time to connect with yourself, whether you choose to do some of the things that we do, meditation, journaling, breath work, or you're just sitting there and you're just reflecting. You got to do something to connect to yourself so that you can show up better for your partner. Now, going into the second habit that we suggest for more happiness is turning your phones off and putting them away at 7 p.m. And I give 7 p.m., which you might be like, why 7? That just happens to be 2 hours before we tend to go to sleep. And I love that time. Literally, this is one of the best things I have done for my sleep, for my happiness, for us to be more present with each other, because we're not, it's funny. Some couples not only have the TV on, maybe iPads and their cell phone. And then they wonder why they're not connected at night, right? It's those devices, those distractions. So pick, what time do we tend to fall asleep or go to bed? Let's go back 2 hours and we will put our phones away. And I mean, mine is literally on silent, face down. I can't see notifications, and I love it so much and has made a huge difference for us. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. Underlying with this, not all couples are doing it or maybe can do it exactly this way, but I also invite you that's listening to go to sleep at relatively the same time and then see about waking up at the same time. If you don't do that, then there can just be a overall sense of like disconnection, off doing other things, which, hey, if you need some additional time for your own activities, again, maybe it's for point number 1 about having meditation or quiet time or things that fill your own cup, that's fine. But I think what we've seen with our coaching is that over time, going to sleep at the same time and waking up at the same time leads to more connection in a relationship.
And you mean not just like the same time every night, but the same time as your partner. Like you're going to bed together.
Exactly, that's what I meant.
Yeah, because if I went to bed at 9 and then you were like, oh, I'm going to be out in the living room and it was 11, you're going to wake up later. There's just like we're out of sync with each other.
Yeah, good word.
So absolutely love that. Okay, habit 3 is sharing gratitudes out loud with each other. And this could be throughout the day or at a minimum at the end of the day. And this is key because, again, like attitude of gratitude can be one of those quotables that people tune out. But truly, when was the last time, reflect for yourself, that you said out loud something you're grateful for that you normally would just be like, oh, but that's just what they do. Oh, they just do the dishes. Oh, they just, make dinner, or oh, they do this for me after, it's just like you take it for granted. And when you say something out loud as a gratitude, something that you're really thanking your partner for or acknowledging them for, there's an immediate boost in their energy. It actually has them secrete hormones in them, and it could be a compliment. It could be a gratitude. There will be an immediate moment of joy that gets sparked in you and in them.
Mm-hmm. Even to the point where some people think, oh, they know that. Mm-hmm. Oh, they just know that I love them. Or they just know that
I appreciate that.
I appreciate them, that I feel supported by them. And we just make too many assumptions rather than just say something very simple that could really create a boost. Even if they do know that, why not just say it? It's funny when I think about that. Oh, they know that. Okay, good. I'm glad. But what does it have to do with you saying it out loud still? Mm-hmm. Like you're going to over express gratitude and happiness.
And don't just say, like, because people go, oh, I thank my partner for making dinner, but does it sound like this? Thanks for making dinner, hun.
Oh, sorry, I went to sleep again.
Yeah, it's routine. It feels like it's just autopilot.
Expected.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So what if you, instead of the things they expect to hear or that they hear you say all the time just because you were maybe trained by your parents to always say thank you, what if at the end of the day you just at dinner said, I really appreciate how much you show up for our family. Mm-hmm. I just so appreciate our walks together and you listen to me. That means so much to me and I really appreciate you.
I think we've only mentioned this one other time, but rather than just share an appreciation or gratitude about the action that your partner takes, if you share about who they're being.
Yeah.
And if that's a new term for you, who they're being is the state, it's the attitude, it's the energy that they're showing up with. If you acknowledge or appreciate that attitude, that energy, that is more meaningful. It's more thoughtful because you had to kind of contemplate on it and give a little more thought to that. Plus, that's kind of a stronger, more intentional choice for how you're being rather than actions. Actions can be very routine and repetitive. Mm-hmm. And this is a part of what we're learning in our journey for preparing for our new baby that's coming. Mm-hmm. And rather than appreciate or celebrate a child for their achievements, which in a sense leads them down a path to need your affirmation or need your approval
for what they do
based
all
on
the
what
time.
they achieve, if you share with your child how much you love them literally just for being and for no other action or achievement that they do, that's the most loving, supportive, strongest bond you can create with a child.
Yeah.
So it is the same. I mean, we're all children, essentially, right? Like we all want love. We want to be acknowledged. We have bigger bodies, but
we can still act like children, though.
Yeah, especially. And so, again, I think that's going to be huge for our child. For those of you listening, try that out a little bit more with your children. But again, it's the same for your partner as well.
Absolutely. So this podcast was titled 3 Daily Habits for Couples to Experience More Happiness. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, my partner will never do these things. Well, don't assume that about them. Send this episode to them. Say, hey, what if we tried at least one of these together? What if we started to implement this? And regardless of whether they implement them with you, which of course would be ideal, you start. And you commit to it. Even if you think your partner won't meditate, if you feel called to because you want to be happier, you start. If you want to put your phone away and kind of just call, oh, hey, I'm going to start putting my phone away at 7. And they'll watch and they'll notice, oh, you're sleeping better. I notice you're more present. They're going to observe your actions. And same thing with habit 3. If you start saying more gratitudes out loud, not for just what they do and the routine things that they're used to hearing you say, but you really acknowledging them for who they're being and their traits, the law of reciprocity will likely prove that after some time of you consistently doing these things, they will model it back. Mm-hmm. They will return it, maybe not exactly the same way that you do, but in some way. Mm-hmm. So implement this, go for it, and send this episode to your partner to see if they will try at least one.
Yeah, last thing for me would also be think of someone else in your life that you just feel is such a positive, happy person. You love being around them, and you always feel better when you're around them. So whoever that is, imagine you're driving to coffee to meet this person, and then you get out, and then when you see them, don't you always feel like you feel better? You feel more positive. In a sense, you feel happier, more excited. Well, that's a reflection back to you. So when you're around someone that's like that, are you going to be angry? Are you going to be upset? Are you going to be frustrated? Are you going to be critical? Are you going to be judgmental of that person? No, absolutely not. So you be that role in your relationship. If you're just being happy and joyful and not in an inauthentic way, but because you're pursuing things like we're talking about here and are actually happy and joyful, how long do you think your partner's going to go being critical or judgmental or passive or sad or disengaged?
Not very long.
Not that long. Because you being that way is going to call them up. Be someone that holds your energy and your state higher rather than, it's so much easier, right, just to allow ourselves to come down to a level of anybody else in our life that's based in fear, judgments, whatever you want to call it. So let's not go down to those levels. Let's be people that invite others up to where we're at.
Well said. And with that, everyone, please send this episode or post it to your stories, tag us, share the love. There are other people in your life that are looking for some skills, some motivation. So send this to a friend or two, post it to your stories and tag us. And also, thank you to those who, after listening to Tuesday's episode, you went and wrote a review for the Argument Hangover, our book. And let's have more, right? Like, again, this is my baby shower gift, and it takes you 15 seconds. But if you take away value from our podcast, truly one of the ways that you can kind of share gratitude with us in a way, we talked about that, would be taking the 15 seconds to write a review for the Argument Hangover. And that would be on the platform where you purchase the book. So whether you purchase it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, etc. Seriously, reviews are everything for a business like ours. And that would be so amazing for us. With that, everyone, we love you and we can't wait to talk to you on the next episode.